At this time, we'd like to introduce another roaster, and John Cahill, would you please come up? By the way, all of our roasters this evening, except for Mr. Kwiatkowski and Bobby, we're all former players of Don's. Well, Don said some of them were on the team. I'm one of the ones who was on the team. Ask anybody who saw me play. My first thought when I was thinking about coming here and speaking tonight, I heard we were going to roast Don Burns. I couldn't figure out where we were going to find a pan big enough to roast Don Burns. And the school did want to memorialize Don and take one of his uniforms, put it in a trophy case. I'm sorry to say that the bond issue to expand Beaster Jim fell through. I don't know what we're going to do with that uniform. The good news is, Don, that Macy's called, and they're thinking of building a new float. Yes, you could be floating right there behind Bullwinkle and right in front of Underdog in the Thanksgiving Day parade. After some of the very good stories, Don's brother, who I've met only a few times, but have heard many stories, he told some great lines. That guy in the ugliest softball uniform I've ever seen, I don't know how he got in here, but he said some very funny things. I can't compete with them. I do want to say that Don Burns has made a big difference in my life. One thing he said to me that I'll always remember is, it's more fun to win than it is to lose, and that's why we play to win. And he was right. He taught me really a spirit of very healthy competitiveness that I'm very grateful for. I'm not happy when I lose, but I do think of Don and the way he took some of the losses that he's had to take. He stood there and watched high school kids kick balls around for a long time, and he stuck with it. And I'm never going to forget his persistence and his dedication. I'll always remember that, Don. I was never, you know, I am not nostalgic tonight because Don is retiring. The waitress at our table dropped the basket of rolls. Instantly, my baseball career flashed before my eyes. If any of you are circulating around later, having a few drinks, you might have heard the story about a player whose glove collapsed. I'm that guy. I didn't want to tell the whole story because Richie Burke tells it much better. So go and ask Richie Burke what happened. But I remember after losing a game, because my glove actually broke on a fly ball, the ball went right through the webbing of my glove. And I thought, oh geez, the coach is really going to give it to me on the way in. All he did was put his arm around my neck and say, don't worry about it, John, just forget it. If we would have won that game, we would have gone downstate in the American Legion tournament. So it was fairly important. And Don kept it in perspective. And I want to say thanks, Coach, because I was never your best player. In fact, when I was in the gym alone, I guess sometimes I wasn't your best player. But you always gave me the time and the consideration. You taught me a lot. You were my friend, and you're still my friend, and I'll never forget you, Don. Thank you. After all that, let's give a big round of applause for John for not tripping on the stairs. Oh, we have an emergency messenger, I'm sorry. Mr. Don Burns, would you please come over and pick up your drive red cards at the bottom of Lake Ellen? in. Don Burns, thanks for being in West Suburban for all those years. You helped our program and our record tremendously. Gary Solaski, Hinsdale Central. You can tell there's a lot of respect for Don. They always paid for the buses to come over. I just made that one up. At this time, I'd like to introduce Jay Johnson, please. Watch carefully. You may be having trouble seeing Jay over the people's heads that are sitting down. Jay, just put your hand up in the air. There you go. Okay, there's Jay. Just so you can follow him up there. As you can tell, Jay stole one stolen base in his career. And I still have it.
My job, should I decide to accept it, was to think of some fond old memories of Coach Don Burns. And I thought about it for a couple of days. I didn't come up with anything right away. But I thought, you know, it'll come to me. Didn't. So I thought, being a therapist, I would look in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the American Psychological Association. Maybe I'd come up with something. Closest I could get was personality disorder, not otherwise specified. But if any of you know about that manual, it really doesn't tell you that much. So what I did was, I thought, well, any good scientist would go right back to the basic data and try to come up with some good generalizations. Well, so I did that. And the first thing that came to mind was, after playing for the coach for 3 years, summer leagues, constantly, not really talking to him for almost 15 years, maybe a handshake here and there, a hello, a couple of words. I called him up about 3 months ago, and I said, Coach, I'd like to be your assistant coach this year. And the first thing he said was, gee, I'd give my right arm and my right leg to have an assistant coach. He didn't think about it a second. He said yes. Asked me to come over, we'd talk about it. So that's what I've been doing, and what I found out was that I never knew Don Burns until the last 3 months. I didn't know anything about him, really. Before that, I mean, you'd have thought he was a jag. But no. Well, not all the time. Now, don't laugh here. What I found out was this man has got a heart too big for his frame, which gives you some impression of how big his heart must be. Incredible. He's intelligent, incredibly sensitive, and a very, very special person. One of the guys I played with, I was just talking to him. He said, he coaches baseball. He said, when I was in high school, this guy took me camping with him. I can't figure out why he ever took me camping with him. Well, maybe, Evan, maybe you better talk to him and find out.
He's cute.
You hear that, Evan? Maybe you better leave. I kept, you know, I thought, well, what am I going to say about him? And I would come home in the evenings and talk to my wife, and every day I'd find out something new about him that I didn't know. I'd come home in the evening and I'd tell my wife, you won't believe this. Mr. Burns likes the Prairie Home Companion. He likes Garrison Keillor. He listens to the show. She would say, "Who are you talking about?" I have lots of friends who had you for driver's ed. He loved the movie The Natural. We sat for 45 minutes talking about The Natural, talking about the symbolism, the music, the lighting, the whole thing. Who are you talking about? Mr. Burns would never like anything like that. Loved sweet Irish folk songs. Had the team coming home in his van from a game, which we won, thank God, singing The Wild Rover by the Clancy Brothers. High school kids singing The Wild Rover, clapping, screaming, having a great time. The only man that plays the music so loud that the kids complain. Just incredible. And you know, probably sometimes maybe much too sensitive. Constantly talking about his kids. Concerned about Bonnie, concerned about Ty, concerned about his family, concerned about his players, and always saying things, not always to their face, but very good things about people that many people would probably be surprised to hear, saying very good things about people. So I got to say, Coach, that I'm very proud to have gotten to know you finally. And it's been an incredible experience. And thank you for everything you've done for me and for all the people that you've helped.
This next telegram could be tough.
I don't think I was a good person for this.
Don Burns.
Here we are. Compose yourself.
Don Burns. Sorry to hear about your retirement. I was hoping to have you on my Cubs staff. That way no one would know if it was you or me going out to pull the pitcher or argue with the umpires. Popeye Don Zimmer.